Some have gone without sewage and electricity and water. Those are just some of the shocking conditions hundreds of people are living under in the Houston area and around the state. So why do they reside in these colonias? The question is this our America? From Montgomery to Liberty counties, you'd likely be shocked at what you'll find. The communities of residents are calling subdivisions.
Well, you got to work here little by little to make what you want out of your house.
Some have called them colonias, a term commonly used to describe third world living conditions in border towns near Mexico. But these are not near the border. They're in the shadow of Houston.
They get started with what little money they have. That's why I guess it may seem that way, but that's also an offensive statement.
Hundreds of people live in those neighborhoods in Liberty and Montgomery counties described as colonias. Some of the homes can be best described as shanties, pieced together by those who are just glad not to be renting any longer. Some neighborhoods lack basic services like fire hydrants and paved streets. Just talk to Carlos Meza in Kings Colony in Montgomery County.
Whenever we have people come over, it's kind of embarrassing for them to drive around here and the roads look all messed up. There's a bunch of dips everywhere.
The lots in these neighborhoods in Liberty and Montgomery counties are sold by Colony Ridge. Average cost about $30,000. Owner finance with an average interest rate of 12%. Colony Ridge did pay for the main road into one of the communities at Kings Colony, spending $350,000 last year. But there are those who say the redeveloper needs to do more, while some who live there say they know what they were getting.
I mean, they sell it to you as is. They don't lie to you. I mean, to me, they don't lie to you. They say it's as is, you fix it the way you want to fix it.
Roxana Nava lives in this house in Liberty County. She and her husband have been working on it for several years. While you may see it as substandard and surrounded by farm animals, Nava calls it home.
I mean, there's some people that have their houses nice and fixed up already. There's some people that are still getting there. Like I said, I've had 4 years here and I'm still getting there. I'm not completely there yet.
In Liberty County, there have been improvements by the redeveloper, but for some, that is still not enough to ensure and remind people this is America. Joining us now to talk about this issue is Montgomery County Attorney J.D. Lambright, an immigrants' rights fighter from Fiel, Cesar Espinosa. We want to thank you guys for coming on the Isiah Factor Uncensored. J.D., you know what this is like out there. I don't know, Cesar, if you've actually been there, but it's mind-blowing when you see it. The video cannot show you clearly just how bad some of those houses are. Now, some people have done really well and they've built their houses up, but there in some cases people living in shacks and tents that they've paid $30,000. And we want to remind you that we invited representatives from Colony Ridge to come on. They declined. But JD, how did we get into this position where people are living in substandard housing here in this country?
Well, I agree with you, Isaiah. It is very shocking, I think, the general public to see this. This subdivision was actually formed back in 79 and 80, some 35, 36 years ago. And at that time, there were no subdivision regulations in Montgomery County. And it's very difficult for a county to do anything about land use regulations just because a county is a very limited form of government. Now, since then, a lot of laws have changed. The county has put in place subdivision regulations starting back in 1984. But all those lots in Kings Colony that you just mentioned, those were grandfathered in at that time. Now, fortunately, the redeveloper has come in and the improvements are being made.
Now, this is mainly a Hispanic community. Seeing this, Cesar, what does this do to you knowing people are living like this in this country?
Well, the problem is a lot bigger than what we see just on this little clip. I mean, a lot of these people have doubts of whether they're being sold even property legally. Many of them signed contracts without speaking English, and when they asked for a translator, they just said, hey, don't worry about it. We will take care of it. Trust us. Everything's going to be fine. We'll give you this and this. The shocking part that we found out when we talked to some of these families is that there is a HOA. But they don't announce meetings. The meetings are conducted in English only, and they don't really invite the community out to participate. And they, the last time that they had an HOA meeting, they switched the date to a week before without really telling anybody. So there's this is a lot. This is an issue that hopefully will be resolved soon. But I think that it's a deeper problem.
And when you look at the finances of this, owner finance, and then you're looking at a 12% interest rate, which is mind-blowing if you're buying a property.
It is a very high interest rate at this day and time, especially. Of course, the redeveloper, I guess, has set those terms and conditions. But hopefully we'll start to see conditions improve. The county has very little authority to do anything whatsoever because it is an unincorporated area. The rules, the regulations, the authority is much different if it was in a municipality like the city of Conroe or city of Montgomery or something like that. But in unincorporated areas, there's very limited authority a county has under the legislative terms to be able to do much.
In the last 20 seconds, Cesar, what do you recommend to those who are stuck or who may not be satisfied? 20 seconds.
It's important for them to speak out. I mean, we have to continue to make those connections with local law enforcement, with the attorneys that are out there so that we can get these things resolved. Unfortunately, with passage of SB 4 and different laws like that, people have a mistrust, but people should still come out, report if they are victims of fraud or whatever it is, so they can be heard.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, JD, for coming on the Isiah Factor. Senator